Hello, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Tuesday, October 14, 2025. I needed to come here and share this story. And this is a very graphic story. It's a horrific story. And I want to give you a trigger warning. That's why I'm saying it right now. Maybe this is not the video for you or the podcast for you to listen to if you're sensitive to subjects like this. This is in regards to somebody losing their life through a dog attack. So that's my trigger warning. Because I don't know how much of the details will be in this article that I'm going to read to you. So I want to give you that trigger warning before I continue. I also want to say thank you guys so much who has been listening using Pandora podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and also everybody who's listening using Spotify. I ask that you also follow my podcast, Julissa Designs Podcast on Spotify. It helps me as a creator. And I want to say thank you, of course, so much to everybody who's watching the video right now on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. As the days go by, I just want to say there's a lot of stuff happening. It's very clear. We're living Bible prophecy. And I think a couple months ago I came here and I told you that I've been noticing that more and more there have been more and more reports of dog attacks against their owner. Just randomly. Maybe there's a new baby in the house or a family member that comes to visit who is familiar with dogs and especially with that dog, and then suddenly the dog then turns violent and doesn't obey anybody. I have a feeling, though, this is just my opinion, that I have a feeling as we get closer to the second coming of the Lord, I think that the enemy is going to use whatever he can. His time is running out. And one thing could be, animals, right? Because if this is the things that are happening are kind of like unprecedented in the meaning that somebody can have the dog for years and years, and they always say to you, dog owners always say, this is a very well behaved dog, right? And but one thing is for the dog to go out of their way to attack somebody that they don't know. That's a different thing. But when they attack eh, the owner that have been with them for so many years, that's when you're like, what is going on, right? What's happening? And in this case, the neighbors of this man heard him crying out for help, begging for help because his dogs attacked him all the way, that they took his life. So let me read you guys this article. It says here, this happened in Blackcliff, Texas. And they say that, it says here, we are hearing from neighbors who frantically tried to help a man fatally mauled on Sunday night in his driveway, by his own dogs. The Galveston County Sheriff's Office said a deputy had to shoot one of them to finally end the attack. Sadly, it was too late for the owner, so it even required police intervention just so that the dog can stop attacking their own owner. And that tells you, like, wait a second, wow. I mean, what a nightmare for this man to go through something like this. I'm gonna give you his name shortly, but it says here that it happened at a home on Louisiana Avenue in unincorporated Blackcliff, about 15 miles north of Galveston. And they say, quote unquote, it was just horrific experience for sure, said the neighbor, Jesus Escondita. I never seen anything like this before. I think this is what I'm referring to, where I feel like, you know, I know there's always been dog attacks and things like that, but when they are turning on their owners just randomly like that, I think there's something else. It says here that the neighbors, the one who spoke, Jesus, he broke a machete while trying to save his neighbor. So his neighbor came out with a machete just trying to help this man that was being mauled. Like I don't want to picture that, somebody being attacked by two dogs, right? And crying out for help. And then this man is like, okay, I'm going to risk my life. I'm going to go out there with a machete to try to help my neighbor. And he even broke the machete. That, can you imagine the force and the whatever was happening with the dog at that moment, right? It says here that, and I do apologize if you might hear some noise. I do have the window open. It says here that he broke his machete trying to save his neighbor, said Jose Eri Castillo. He said he owns people dogs as well, and he said you see there's blood everywhere. He and others say the attack started when Castillo tried to keep his dogs from going after passengers by in golf carts, as seen in the surveillance image. Another image shows Escontita, the other neighbor, running back with a second knife after getting one of the dogs to let go of Castillo, the victim. He was crying, pleading and crying, and I'm just sorry, Eddie, and stabbing the dog and poking and poking and poking. Very graphic. This man gets here. I don't want to continue to read that. And he said that dog was not letting go of the owner. Even if, the man tried everything you can only imagine with the machete, and that dog was so determined, I guess, to just take all his anger, I guess, on the owner. And they're saying you could hear somebody screaming for help. So, and then they called the police, right? So they're saying, that's why I'm pausing, because they're describing something very graphic here about how neighbors really tried to help this man, right? The man Castillo was pronounced dead at the hospital in Clear Lake, while both dogs were later euthanized. Authorities showed back up at the house on Monday and tried to locate a third dog. The dogs, listen to this, the dogs grew up with him. You know what? You know what I mean? Said the neighbor. They always been fed good, and I don't know why something like this will happen. And that's what I'm referring to. I think I came here, I don't know, maybe during the summertime. I told you about another dog attack against the owner, right? And people are gonna say this happens all the time. I get it, right? But I feel like the type of attacks is like, it's almost like a switch is going on them. Like one day they're obeying and following, because when we see all these videos on TikTok, right, and we see the delivery man coming to the delivery man, the mailman, right, all these people who go to houses to deliver packages, and they go, and then there's a dog appearing out of nowhere. The moment that dog sees the owner, it's like they completely turn away from whatever it is that they were going to do or that they're doing, right? Even if they're running at this capacities that they can do, right? Going after a stranger at the door at the driveway, if they hear the owners calling them, they immediately turn back. And they're saying that these dogs, the two people, the man had three dogs, right? And two of them were the one that attacked him to death, right? Two of them were not letting go of the owner. And it's like they're saying they grew up with him, right? Like he raised the dogs, and they were saying, he did such a good job with them. Well, that's the thing, right? Something switched, and that's what I feel like. I feel like the enemy is gonna use whatever he can. He's saying that the dogs who grew up with him, and you know what I mean. They've always been fed good, and I don't know why something like this would happen. That's what the neighbor said. Authorities say your best bet is when it comes to dangerous dogs is to alert either animal control or law enforcement about the threat of such dogs, right? The agency takes calls, but it varies from city to city, so you have to check online. I think it goes not just in this city in Galveston, but basically everywhere, call animal control for something like that. The sheriff's office confirmed previous calls to the area regarding aggressive dogs, and more than one neighbor told us that they avoided going down this part of the street because of Castillo's dogs, right? So he knew, and this is nothing I'm not trying to say anything about the owner. It's, obviously, if anything, you feel compassion like that, right? Because I mean, you feel compassion for this man because probably in his mind, something like this would have never happened. That's why he kept the dogs for so many years, right? They, some of the people in the neighborhood say, we never go down that road because I know that this man has these vicious dogs and we know how they can get. But like what I was saying earlier is that you see on all these videos, surveillance camera videos of delivery guys coming to houses with they have dogs, and the moment they see a stranger popping out, the dog is running to the front. And the minute that owner says something or calls the dog back, right? Obviously, that dog does the complete 180, right? The obedience clicks in, right? But in this case, something went terrible wrong, and I feel like this is just my opinion. Like I said, I think the enemy is gonna use whatever he can. But it's just, it's so sad that this man had to experience something like this. What a nightmare! And he called out for help, and his neighbors tried to help. I mean, they basically put their life in danger, right? To go out there with a machete, and that didn't even help at all. Wow, can you imagine, right? So I'm just gonna tell you guys that they have created a GoFundMe for him, I believe. So let me just see if I can find it here to see more information about it. As you guys know, I do support GoFundMe because I believe that is a way that you hear a story like this, and even if it's not in your neighborhood, it's a way to kind of like empathize with what they're going through and kind of like to help out, because I think this is definitely a nightmare that this man went through. And his full name is Jose Heriberto Padron Castillo, and this happened just on October 12th, this past Sunday. So this happened 2 days ago. Okay, so the GoFundMe link is there. I'm gonna get it. Excuse me, I'm searching for it right now. And I'm gonna put it here in the description box. So you guys, if you feel led to donate, please do so. If not, you can always pray for the family. And one thing, I didn't see it yet, but it looks to me like they also have a surveillance video of this whole attack, which is horrible, I'm sure. Even just hearing, I haven't seen it yet, but even hearing this man calling out for help, I can only imagine how traumatizing that must be. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. And if you hear any other similar stories, you can leave a comment. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget about the GoFundMe. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day.